I need a drink. I'm glad it's Wednesday.
Yep. Done with that. I feel the same way. My boss has been really demanding as of late. So.
I bet it's a real. Bet he's driving you hard.
Yep. Yeah. He's. Gosh, he's making me wake up at like 8 o'clock. Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. Yeah. Probably being like, you don't even. He's like. Probably saying you don't even have to change. Stay in your pajamas.
Is this like a hard 8 or?
Do I have to like lie in bed if I need to? It's like to stay there. What is it? It's like this.
Oh, all right. I see us.
Hey, I see us too.
There we are. Oh, real quick. Night, everyone.
Night.
Better than a shard of glass in your foot. Welcome to Craft Computing, everyone. Talking Heads, episode 199. That's right, one to go until 200. Your once-weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm John.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on Anchor.fm or wherever your favorite podcasts are found, or even the ones you don't like. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, usually some Star Trek, and tonight we'll probably get into some Star Trek.
Probably.
We do read all super chats on the air, so long as they won't demonetize my channel. And we do drink alcohol on the show. And if you are drinking with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat and we'll give some early show shout outs as we go along. And if you want to take part in the super secret chat or the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Float Plane or Patreon. Links are both down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to my Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and take part in the awesome and ever-growing community that hangs out over there.
That's right. That is true.
Yep.
I know. Sometimes I find myself being like, what's going on in Discord? Oh, and then you just kind of lose yourself in one of the channels chatting with someone.
Totally.
And I also find myself remembering, I remember what this used to be like 2 years ago. Like, yeah, it was a decent, small little channel of like 30 people. Now it's a lot of people.
700 users?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's just never like, it used to be I could plop something down and, one or two responses. Now it's plop something down and I accidentally put something in the middle of a conversation, a thread going.
Yeah.
I'm like, darn it, didn't mean to do that.
Yep. John J is drinking a Trinity Brewhouse Belgian Strawberry, 12.5%.
Oh. One of those days, huh?
Yeah. Man, a lot of high ends coming right away.
Well, William's going for a Surly Brewing 13.
Yeah.
A maple barrel-aged Imperial Stout with vanilla bean and lactose.
Mike's got himself Hukatsuru, which is a sake at 15.5%. We've got Novella Hub with a Firestone Walker 23rd Anniversary Ale, 11.5%. AZ Motors drinking Sailor Jerry and Coke. It's a Breckenridge Vanilla Porter tonight from Magic Rat. Yeah, a lot of high ABVs in the chat this evening.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a good show.
Well, with the title of MacBooks and IPAs, I mean, that's just like inviting people to drink.
Exactly. Yeah, it has kind of been one of those weeks. In fact, I've got a double digit sitting on my table here myself. But let's go ahead and crack open our first beers of the night. And tonight I kind of felt like a Pilsner. It's not often I do, but I felt like a Pilsner. This one has me kind of excited. So I found a brewery just a couple of weeks ago called Forland Beer. They're out of McMinnville, Oregon, so pretty local to us. They've been cranking out some really good stuff as of late. I've had a couple of their beers on the show, and I have not been, let alone disappointed yet, but I have been like over the moon with some of the stuff that I've had from them.
Yeah, you were telling me them and I looked them up, and I only had one of their beers, and my review was, damn, that's good.
Right. Right. So this one uber excited about, because Ex Novo is another one of those breweries that it's like you never have a bad beer from them, like ever. And
it's always solid.
All of their stuff is always solid, solid to great. And so this is an Ex Novo and Forlin Beer collaboration. This is the About Time Pills, 4.9% collab between the two.
Nice.
So I'm gonna give that a whirl in my brand new 100% official Craft Computing pint that you can get over on craftcomputing.store.
Oh, look at that.
Drink like a pro, as they say.
As the cool kids say.
That's right.
That's what the people that know how to drink, that's what they say.
John, what do you...
Yeah, I am going to also be doing a collaboration beer. I am going to be doing two local Oregon greats, Block 15 and Great Notion.
Oh, yes.
This is Peach Punch in Your Eye. It is a peach and apricot IPA. I think this, 7%. So I know they do this yearly, but every year they kind of tweak the recipe.
Uh-huh.
I know this year they also made like a jammy IPA of this, which was kind of interesting, but this is just the regular one.
Yeah.
So I am doing a beer trade with someone for some interesting beers in Texas, and he requested some local greats.
Yep.
And you can't get any better than Block 15 and Great Notion.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Fantastic glass. Pretty darn good Pilsner.
Ooh. Wow, that's a lot of apricot.
Pretty darn good. It's not that usual like biscuity finish. It's much thicker than that.
Oh, floaties.
Yeah, I'm digging that. Very crisp. Very crisp.
Was not expecting there was a little bit of floaties in this. That's weird. I wonder how old this can is. Could be a fresh 728.
Yeah, those are usually.
Yeah, it's a month old, but so if there's fresh fruit in this.
Yeah.
Fermented dry hop with massive amounts of Galaxy and Mosaic. I mean, you taste the apricot. The apricot is so present in this.
Nice.
It's good. It's great beer.
Very cool. I do like apricot.
Yeah. So all around, very, very good.
Nice.
And there we go. No, I usually like a Pilsner too, like not too much biscuity. If they're thicker, a nice body on a German beer I always find that very refreshing.
Yes.
I found that more pleasing than a lawnmower beer version of it.
Yes, I agree. Like we have like the all day IPA and beers like that are just solid. I can drink them anytime, anywhere. This is kind of like the Pilsner version of that. I mean, it's 4.9%, so it's still clocking in right around that same ABV. Yeah. I think all day is a 4.7. But little bit thicker bodied, little wetter on the profile, instead of more drying like a Pilsner normally is.
Yeah.
And doesn't have that bready finish. But this wonderful kind of sour mash style malt mixed with the hops right up front, where it's not overly sweet, but very, very refreshing. I like it.
Nice. Yeah, no, what is it? I had a beer yesterday, and it was an IPA, but it was a single hop, and my review on it was just the body was just so amazing.
Yeah.
But it's usually when I ever have European style beers, a lager, Pilsner, my box or anything like that. It's a lot of time in the Northwest, we thin the body out.
Yeah.
I think our water consistency there's just an issue with it versus getting a traditional one over in Europe, Germany, wherever. I think their water treatment is probably very weld-based, stone-based, mineral heavy, and that's giving it a good body. And that's one thing that I always love about traditional European, German Pilsners, Hefts and everything like that. The body, if they do that right, it tastes amazing.
Over here, especially when you get towards the West Coast, the The water is not hard at all. It's not. There's not a lot of minerals in our water. And we've actually talked to a couple of brewers in the area. There's one local to us, Vagabond, that they have 2 breweries. They have one in Salem and one in Portland. They're 60 miles apart is all. Not even that. They're 40 miles apart. Yeah. And they brew different beers at different locations because they found if they tried to brew the same, like they have a hef, and they tried to brew the hef at both locations, and they said the Portland one turned out like crap. And then they have an IPA, and they tried to brew the IPA at the Salem location, and that turned out like crap because the water is so very different between the two.
Yeah, and for if you're not a big major brewery and have that amount of money to like, I'm going to go send this water in and test the levels I need, and then you got to throw those chemicals in there, and that's more money. So it's a big thing to do. A lot of money. So a lot of people just work with the water that they have. There's some water treatment, but very basic amounts. And that's the problem though, is like you said, if they can't do the same water-based treatment in Salem that they can up in Portland.
Right.
It's just that much different. So I wouldn't even be surprised if they went from Salem to Silverton.
Yeah.
Even closer. Yeah. Like 14 miles apart. They're like, nope, still got to do it different.
Yep. No, I wouldn't be shocked at all. In fact, that might be a great question for Ratchet Brew if they had to tweak some of the recipes when they moved over there.
Yeah, that would be an interesting thing. Yeah. I know they do. I know when I was talking with Dan, he had a lot of big troubles the first couple of rounds because he was still also just adjusting because he bought that much bigger system. Yeah. And so there's even just that complication of scaling your recipe up. And if you want those flavors to go, it's not necessarily like baking of, hey, I want to increase this recipe. Well, 1 cup of sugar now equals 5 cups of sugar. Yeah. No, that flavor, that malt, that temperature, it actually comes out a little bit different. And so you have to tweak it and adjust it. It takes longer for that liquid to cool down for however your system is to cooling it down. Might be even faster. You're looking for more efficiency, less efficiency. Don't know. Well, obviously you're always looking for more efficiency, but yeah, he told me the first couple of batches I know of him doing some of his staple beers came out different. And he was like, yeah, they just don't taste good. Yeah. Or taste the quality that they wanted. He was literally giving, cases of it away to me. I helped him. I took a picture. Actually, I think I went one time and I just reset his router by plugging in. He's like, yeah, here, take a whole case. Yeah. This isn't good. Like, I can't sell this. Like, I'll take the deuce tube. That's fine. All right. That's whatever. It was a little more earthy than I like, or than usually is, but it was like, free 6% IPA and a case of it for plugging it in, turning it on and off. Yep. Works for me. I'll take that price. Yeah.
Works for me. Yeah. Water is weird. Water is one of those oft forgotten parts about the brewing process that has a major impact on the end result. Water is not just water. Yeah. Water is everything that's inside the water. It's chlorine levels from your local treatment plant. It's the mineral content. It's how long it sat, how long it heated, how fast it cooled. Everything makes a difference. Yep. All right. Let's go ahead and get into the news. Starting with, there's been a leak about the upcoming revision of the MacBook Pro, the larger MacBook Pro. Now, we all know that Apple has been steadily moving over to all of their models over to their own silicon, over to Apple Silicon. And it's been rumored that the more powerful MacBook Pro will be coming out sometime in the fall. Well, the rumors are kind of ramping up, and we are getting some pretty definitive spec sheets on what is expected to come out from Apple this fall. So the new MacBook Pro will come in at a 14-inch and a 16-inch size, and will start at $1,799. Well, you laugh, but hold on, because I spent $1,299 on my MacBook Pro just this last December. hands down the best laptop I've ever bought. And I've gone through a lot. Excuse me.
Oh, was that the ironic cough?
No. That was not the ironic cough. That's the Jeff woke up with a sore throat this morning and it's no better right now. But anyway, starting at $17.99 is the 14-inch MacBook Pro with an M1X chip. So this is a second revision of their first generation silicon. This is not an all-new chip. This is the same architecture, just slightly scaled up. Sorry, hold on. My mute button doesn't work anymore. Anyway, so 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pros are very likely in 2021. The M1X may also land in a revised Mac Mini. And depending on those specs, that may be an instant buy for me. Because I also bought a Mac Mini that I've been using for my 3D printing work, for both CAD design and controlling the printer. And while it's a phenomenal computer, especially because I got it for $500 with the M1 processor and 8 gigs of RAM, I would like some more memory in it, and I would like a little bit faster video. And I'd love to see what it can do in gaming, especially because emulating Windows, or rather virtualizing Windows, especially with Windows 11 having a full-fat ARM64 kernel available, means that you could potentially run a virtual machine with full speed, including full speed graphics, on your Mac Mini for a pretty reasonable price. So that's really, really intriguing to me. And that machine's been phenomenal for what I'm asking of it. I've got it hooked up to a 27-inch 4K display. It doesn't lag. It doesn't hesitate. It just works. It really does just work. Anyway, new specs are going to be reported at 16 gigs and 16 gigs of RAM standard. Apple, Thank you. Finally, for once, not underspeccing your lower end models, although the MacBook Pro 13-inch is still underspecced with only 8 gigs of RAM instead of 16 as standard. 8 gigs certainly can get the job done, but man, if you're going to call something a pro product, it's got to have 16. It's got to have 16.
Yeah.
But anyway, 16 gigs of RAM and 16 core GPU, which is double the GPU core count from the standard M1. They will also offer a 32 core GPU with both 16 and 32 gigs of RAM. That's a substantial upgrade.
Yeah, you can go for the really big boy.
Right. I mean, 16 gigs of RAM and a 32 core GPU, we might be talking like GTX 1070 level performance. Because the 8 core GPU was somewhere around a 1050 Ti. And if it scales and if it works, that might be an impressive machine.
If it scales, but then how much is that 32 gigs or 16 core, 32 gigs of RAM?
That's a great question.
Yes, because this is really that $17.99 is starting. Wait, wasn't that the starting for the Pro?
Starting price is $17.99, so that's going to be 16 gigs and 16 core. We don't know about any higher price options, but $2,000 is certainly not out of the conversation for the starting price of the 16-inch, because they had a couple of years where it was $18.99 for their 15-inch laptop.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, you're looking for the laptop, but then I'm also wondering, with all that, well, I'd love to see what the power consumption on, because I know when we reviewed the first SKUs of their CPUs, the power consumption were fantastic. I think they were 75 watts.
Yeah.
The
M1 chip itself is limited to 35 watts.
Yeah, 36. I remember it being extremely low.
Yeah.
And thus making that battery just last forever, or in laptop terms, anyways, for the quality of what you're getting. I would be curious to see what the 16 core 32 gig and 32 core 32 gig battery life would be, and the price on them. I'm betting I wouldn't be surprised if the higher end, the 32B
goes for $2,500. Not shocked.
Like I was gonna say 28, like $27.99.
Some of the laptops that I bought from Apple when we spec'd them out, they were easily $2,800. A couple laptops that I bought personally were $2,800.
Depending on what you do, it's actually not a bad price point. If that is your workhorse,
right?
Which it could be with that spec. That's about what you pay for a tower. Maybe a little bit less for a tower, but now you're also paying for portability.
Yeah. And what's funny is everyone always rags on Apple for being the most expensive thing ever. Go and price yourself out a Dell XPS, a high-end Dell XPS laptop, and go, pardon the expression, but apples to apples with a lot of the components.
No,
you'd be shocked at how competitive Apple is if you don't put garbage in there. And you can't say, well, this one has a full aluminum enclosure, but we really don't need that, so we're gonna no. You price apples for apples, because if you're paying for the Apple laptop, that's what you're going to be receiving. Same thing with now I can't defend the current Mac Pro, but because that's just astronomical and hilariously bad. But back in like 2012, when or let's say 2009, with the Mac Pro, it was a Nehalem-based CPU or Westmere-based CPU, so X58 chipset, which was the high-end chipset at the time. You can get it in either 4-core, 6-core, or 12-core configurations. 12-core being a dual CPU chip, or dual CPU configuration. If you spec'd that thing out, it was like $4,000. And people lost their minds over that, who don't understand high-end workstations. Because you go to Dell and you price out a precision, desktop, or you go to HP and you get one of their Omen workstations or something. Guess what?
Yeah.
It was about $4,000 for the same hardware, if you went spec for spec. The current Mac Pro is designed for people who edit extremely high-res footage in Final Cut on Mac OS. And yes, that's exactly right. That's why they have their decoder card. That's why they have their Vega Pro with up to like 48 gigs of VRAM. It's for people who are editing 8K raw footage and scrubbing multiple timelines at the same time. That's what that's for.
It is. It's the photogenic workman station. It's portability. That's the thing, though, is when you're on a shoot, you can do it right then and there. Like as you're having lunch, you can watch your stuff. You're doing high-res photography. You can sit there and edit it while you're having a beer. That time is the expression of time is money is true, and in any job. And if you can sit there and be like, I can edit my videos or edit photos or anything like that while I'm having my lunch or anything, or while I'm sitting on a bus, wherever, doing music. I mean, I was going to ding Apple for this, but then I thought, for those exact reasons, no, app, this is actually it's not unreasonable.
Right.
It really isn't unreasonable.
Right.
You are paying that hair for a premium, but you're getting that luxury of it's portable and probably going to be very reliant, especially with the last series that we saw, which is a great CPU, great GPU that's coming out.
Yep.
I can't complain. Now, if this was a couple years ago, maybe, but when they were still with Intel, and I think they were a little bit overpriced then. But
the most recent Mac Pro, like I said, I am so underwhelmed by that machine. Now it's a beautiful piece of hardware. You can't argue with that. But using the Intel Enthusiast 3647 socket, but starting it at an 8-core, did they not know the Ryzen 1700 existed at that time? Did they not know that you're being beaten by desktop chips as far as core for core performance? It made it a terrible deal. But if you went out and you priced out that exact CPU and a high-end motherboard and the same memory that they're putting in, not the memory that they sell you as an upgrade, but the stock 32 gigs that it came with, you go out and you price yourself out a 16 gig, Vega anniversary card and things like that, because that's the PC equivalent. You get up there pretty quick. You really do. It still wasn't $6,000, but
But yeah, no, like I said, the last generation, this latest generation of Mac CPUs, their CPUs and GPUs, everything's looking, or internally built ones, everything's looking very, very promising for Mac users. It's still too much for me personally that I would do. Plus, I don't have the portability, so I don't need it. But I could easily find myself of a friend saying, "Hey, I do this for a job. What do you recommend?" Because I think every host on here probably has those friends that say, "Hey, you're my computer guy.
Right.
What do you recommend?" Well, what do you do? That's one of the first. What do you need it for? That's usually the first question you always ask. And I might say, like, well, do you know Apple? Here's this, and you might want to consider it. So if these are true, it's not too bad. Now, if they go completely ridiculous on the prices for those really high up ones, then that's different. Now we're speculating on the prices that we think.
Yeah, and we do know that Apple does charge a premium for build to order upgrades. I mean, they basically beat you in the face when they charge you for memory and CPU upgrades. Not only do they not give you a discount for taking out the parts that you're not purchasing. So, like, let's say you get 16 gigs of RAM and then you need to upgrade to 32 gigs and it's $300. Well, hold on. The 16 gigs is still $100. Don't I get credit for that? No.
Nope. Yeah. It's not build your own. This is the base. You take anything out, it's still that cost. Sorry.
Yep.
I know. You're almost better off buying the base model, although you can't take it apart and add your own stuff to it because Apple has that.
Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act begs to differ.
I know. But to just go buy those parts and then be like, I'm gonna go sell my old parts online and get a little kickback.
Yep. I actually made that comment earlier today on Twitter because I'm going to be taking apart my RTX 3090 because the memory is overheating on it. It's idling close to 90 degrees Celsius, and whenever I do anything on it, it's hitting 110 and throttling on me. Yeah, and it's like, well, that's not good. So I'm just going to repaste it because I can do that in an afternoon and put it back in my machine because I actually do need more than 10 or 12 gigs of video memory for editing some of my footage. I edit sometimes ProRes RAW, but usually ProRes 422, and it's bandwidth heavy. It's intensive. It needs that memory, and right now I've got a 3070 in my rig right now because I finally pulled it when I realized it was overheating. But I guess the 3090 has been an issue with memory overheating for a while. So I'm hoping a really good set of thermal pads will fix that, and we'll see.
We'll see. Yep, I know. I think I remember hearing early complaints of overheating on the 3090.
Yeah, I remember a couple things here and there, but there was nothing like detrimental or overly alarming when I heard it. But then all of a sudden, Wendell over at Level 1, his 3090 reference card died this last week, and I got looking at mine, and mine's overheating too. And I went, oh crap. And I posted that on Twitter, and immediately I had 5 or 6 or 7 other people say, I also have a 3090 Founders card, and either I'm having similar issues or I haven't checked. I need to go look at that. So I'm curious to see, once I do the thermal mod, what the results are, and if it makes a difference, because While I was going to do a custom water cooling loop in this case, I didn't want to water cool the 3090 because sometimes I will be using that chip for benchmarking other cards or doing other things. It's not just my editing rig. And so I wanted that modularity to be able to swap out parts. But I may have to end up water cooling both sides of my RTX 3090 just to be able to run the dang thing. Now, if you're like me, you like tinkering with stuff. But if you're not like me, and you've ever wanted to run your own servers, then maybe you should think about today's video sponsor, Linode. A lot of people watch my episodes for servers and hardware and things like that, but not everyone has the room, money, or power and cooling requirements to host their own servers. So why not let Linode host them for you? If it runs on Linux, it'll run on Linode. That includes the software from most of the tutorials you see on my channel, like how to run your own ad-blocking recursive DNS server, VPN gateway, own cloud-based Plex server, and more. Linode makes it simple to deploy and manage your own cloud services, with solutions ranging from a single shared CPU to massive multi-core virtual machines. They even offer dedicated RTX 6000 GPUs for graphic rendering or machine learning tasks. With CPU plans starting at as little as $5 per month and scaling up to as high as you need to go, you'll be able to find a hosting plan that fits your needs. Even if you do host your own servers, you can use Linode to keep a backup off-site, because remember, RAID is not a backup.
Nope.
Visit linode.com/craftcomputing to get a $100 60-day credit just for signing up for a new account. That's linode.com/craftcomputing, and thanks again to Linode for sponsoring today's episode. Thank you, Linode.
Thank you.
I can drink for another day.
Yeah. I was just thinking of custom water looping, and because you did that the whiskey one. And we always talked about beer, and who did the beer one?
Jay's 2 Cents did a Bud Light.
Put
Bud Light in the
that's not beer.
The Post Malone.
Yeah, but you know those looping fountains, those phantom fountains that they have. Usually, they're like tap. You need to somehow transform that into a water cooler. So you have a pint or mug of beer, and then a fake tap, and there's a loop going through it. It looks like it's always pouring into the beer, the mug.
Yeah. I am working on not just a custom water cooling loop for my editing rig, but a full-on case mod for it. Because it's been a couple of years since I've done a case mod. It's been since QuakeCon 2018, I want to say.
Yeah.
Was it 18 or 19? 18.
I think it was 18.
18. Yeah, 2018. So I've kind of had this itch for a while, and I've had this idea in my mind of a case mod that I've wanted to do. And when I built my editing rig, I kind of had this case mod in mind, but I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to pull it off. I've almost got it pulled off. It's looking sharp. I'm not sharing any details yet. I want the video to be an absolute surprise. So, but trust me, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Bitwit Kyle just did a PC loop filled with Jaeger. I did see that.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, I did a whiskey loop. I did benchmark number 8, which is a Buffalo Trace budget whiskey.
Horrible thing. Horrible whiskey.
It was pretty awful. And what's really funny is this is how whiskey snobs turn off a lot of the community. Is they'll look at lists of production lists and they'll go, oh, benchmark number 8, that's probably a great entry-level whiskey to try because Buffalo Trace makes that one. That's their budget line. I don't know if they've never tried benchmark number 8, but it's hard to think of some worse whiskeys out there.
Well, that's so funny. Is my brother from Colorado came? I think it was last year or something like that. Came over one time for a visit, or to actually be like 2 years ago now. And he was like, "Oh yeah, my neighbor's this huge whiskey aficionado. He's always got all these really old whiskeys and everything. But he came to me and told me like, hey, here's my favorite whiskey on a budget. And it's like, you know what it is? And I pointed out, I said, Well, you know what? The worst whiskey or bourbon I've ever had was this one called Benchmark. It's like, yeah, that's the one. That's the best one. I was like, no, it's horrible.
It's $9.
It is horrible. It's like, I will take Seagram 7 any day of the week.
Yes.
Of that.
I'll even take most of the Evan Williams. Like,
I'll take Evan. I'll take
Evan Black.
Proof.
Not a bad whiskey. Evan Bottled and Bond. Evan Williams Bottled and Bond white label.
Oh yeah.
Surprisingly solid.
Really
solid.
I don't mind the 100 proof one if I want to get a little bit, but then have that little amount get me there a little bit faster. So I'll if I'm on a budget too, I'll do the 100 proof of theirs. It's okay.
Yep.
It's not it's okay.
In fact, I have a bottle of Evan 100 up on the shelf, the Bottled and Bond. Yeah. But no, benchmark number 8. Stop saying it's a great budget whiskey. There are so many other good budget whiskeys out there that are actually whiskeys.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that thing is dyed so heavily. Yeah. I'm sure. I wonder if I could like distill it and see how much dye is left over.
Oh wow, that'd be an interesting one.
That'd be an interesting one. Just to clear it.
You got $9 for a video, don't you?
I do. I got $9. I'll take that. What's better, this or Pabst Whiskey? Mm-hmm. Can you tell a difference? Oh my gosh, they're the same thing.
Yeah,
both are aged. Although I did get a new whiskey. It was interesting. Where is it? Maybe I'll talk about it in the after show. I'll show it in the after. But so the Pabst Whiskey is aged 8 seconds.
Yeah.
This one was only aged for, I think it said 12 hours. So
does it at least have color this time?
So yes, the interesting thing is it's aged 12 hours in charred oak.
Okay.
But then aged, I think 6 months in white oak.
Okay. In new white oak.
In new white oak.
Okay.
So it's an interesting flavor. It's how new white oak kind of gives a drying characteristic.
Yeah.
It's that, but
it's very wine-like.
It's very wine-like, but these must have been freshly charred barrels because there is so much smokiness to it.
Yeah.
And it's like this is like half peaty, like I would say half like quarter peaty Scotch.
Yeah.
75% drying white oak wine almost. It's very interesting. It's maybe good, but then it also has a very high ABV aroma, so it's not smooth.
Okay.
So, but if you want to know more about that, join the Patreon for the super secret chat afterwards.
That's right. Get some behind the scenes, both of Craft Computing and Hops and Brews.
That's right, and Steve and Rhett's place.
You don't even have to get on John's OnlyFans for that.
That's right. That was a close call. I'll tell you what. Last week, for me, I was like about to cash in 401k. And I was like, there goes my income.
I will never financially recover from this. Yep, John sure was worried about his supplemental income there.
That's right.
Okay, let's see. What else do we have on the agenda for tonight? Oh, right. HP, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, warns of a bug in sudo that gives attackers root privileges on pretty much any device in their Aruba platform. Yeah, user elevation is never a bug that you want to see come across, let alone one that's rated high severity or applies to all products.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the story. It is CVE 2021-3156. It was first reported back in January, but it has finally been disclosed as far as what the bug actually is. And researchers believe it has impacted millions of endpoint devices and systems. I have deployed a number of different Aruba hardware. A lot of my facilities that I maintained, a lot of them were Aruba OS on the switching side of things, both at the core and at the endpoints. I never did too much with Aruba wireless deployments, but I did do a couple of small systems with them. Yeah, hopefully this is a bug that is pretty easily patched, although considering it was posted all the way back in January, I have my doubts that this is an easy one to patch out.
Well, yeah, January, and then 9 months later, hey, here we go. You know, it's probably, we're going to have a patch in 30 days. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's been vulnerable for 10 months since we've known it, and probably for years because we never looked into it.
Right. It was first disclosed in January, which means it's had impact far before that, or at least potential impact before that. So the vulnerability is named Baron Samdet. And it was introduced into the pseudocode in July 2011. So it's a 10-year-old exploit.
I did not see that part. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for 10 years, it was. Now, didn't it say though you needed physical access?
You do need physical access. So, well, you need to be on the network. So, yeah, either physical access. Physical access usually trumps all anyway. If you have physical access, you can usually get access. But yeah, if you are physically on the network, or even VPN'd in, if you have an IP address and you can communicate with this switch, you can exploit this. Is this Aruba unrelated to the requisition software? Yes, this is HP Aruba. Aruba used to be their own networking company, and they were purchased by HP, I want to say back in 2013 or 14.
Right around that bug was introduced.
Yeah, no. It had nothing to do with that. No, this was around the same, I think it was just before the HP and HP Enterprise split. So I think this was right around 2014 is when HP purchased Aruba Networks. So no, this is not Aruba, the requisition software. This is Aruba Networks, the switching company. Don't. Aruba Wireless is terrible. I kind of gathered as much. I wasn't happy with their feature set. I wasn't happy with their controller layout. I wasn't happy with their licensing. I wasn't happy with much when I was researching Aruba. I had a couple clients still choose them, and I happily deployed them. But yeah, it's not one that I recommended all that much. Aruba acquisition was Q2 2014. Nailed it. Just got here. Are y'all drunk yet? No, I'm drinking a 4.9% Pilsner, although wait about another 20 minutes.
Yeah. So just waiting for you.
That's right. Yeah, I'm almost done with this one, so.
Yeah, I got, I could chug it down. I got 2 decent drinks out of mine.
I got 1 drink left, so.
Got 1 big one or 2 small ones.
Yeah, if you have an HP Aruba Switch, make sure that you're locking down all of your credentials and potential logins. Don't let anyone log into a shell. Aruba GUI is so horrible, it's better to use CLI. Yes, it is. In fact, I had a network guy who handled most of our Aruba stuff. Mainly, I did a lot of ProCurve. And when we started going Aruba, both at our core, so a couple of our core switches were still ProCurve, and so I did a lot of the core configurations. And then I had a network guy who knew everything inside and out, and he did the Aruba CLI configurations. Just because, like, I don't want to learn something new. I'm getting too old for this crap. I'll just tell you what to do. That's what made me a manager. GI Pilot drinking a Modern Times Fruitlands, 4.8%. I've not had that one.
I was gonna say, like, I was about to look that one up. I don't know if I've had that one either. I've had a lot of Modern Times.
Delta Overtime finished a 10% double IPA. So.
I've had that. Yeah, I've had that one. It's a sour.
Okay, yeah.
When it said 4.8, I was like, Fruitlands. Like, that does not sound like a lager or a pilsner. Oh, it's a sour. So.
John, you want to finish yours so we can open our next beers? And
Sure.
Before we get into the beer news.
There we go. Delicious.
All right.
Nice.
Do you want to intro yours first, or do you want?
How about I can do? Well, I gotta go.
Go get yours out of the fridge.
Let me go grab mine. Yeah. Obviously, if you'd like to hear me shuffle through the beer fridge as always.
All right, I can do that.
So hang on, everyone can.
There's nothing better than listening to John move like 12 beers that you really want in your fridge out of the way so he can get to the beer that he wants to drink. I told him what I was drinking earlier, and I told him the year that it was, and he goes, well, there's the 2018, there's the 2017. Hold on, I think I have one here. Hey, he's back. All right.
I'm back.
I didn't say anything.
I figured as much. You're too classy of a guy, Jeff.
I am. I am so classy.
Okay, so I thought about having a big beer today. And I'm going to be having 903's Oak Age Coffee Coconut Sasquatch. It is a Imperial coffee, Imperial Chocolate Milk Stout, oak aged in coffee beans and coconut.
Nice.
I think this is 2020, something like that. I don't see a date on this. I think I bought it last year.
Very cool.
Old, right?
My beer came in a box.
Like box wine?
No, like individually boxed.
Like box wine?
No, like there's a bottle inside the box.
Like box wine? Oh, I didn't see the screen. I was pouring. Wait, what is that? Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Firestone Walker 2016 Hell Dorado. This is an 11.8% blonde barley wine. And I believe it's barrel aged as well. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. Yeah, barrel aged blonde barley wine ale. Clocking in at 11.8%. They only produced 4,000 cases. It's a good bottle. It's a very good bottle.
No, I almost positive. I almost positive I have what it'd be in the far back and take me a second to dig it out without breaking bottles.
Yeah.
I still have some Firestone for you, but they're the smaller bottles. But that was the Hell Dorado, right?
Yes, Hell Dorado.
Oh, it's a great barley wine. Did I have the 2016? This smells weird. It smells like alcohol.
This does not.
Tastes decent. Sweet, though. A little too sweet.
Wow, that is sweet.
El Dorado. El Dorado. Oh, I have had it before. Cool. So I'm not as jealous.
So that's a barley wine at 11.8%.
That's a thing of beauty right there.
That is gorgeous.
Is a thing of beauty. That looks like I had it at Seesaw. That's just boring.
Oh, wow.
When did I have it?
Wow.
How did it age is the question.
That is super light-bodied. Super light-bodied. Like, You taste it right up front. Hold on. When I moved my hand, it was like gone. It was like just bubbles on my tongue.
Like overcarbonated?
No, not overcarbonated. Just like marshmallowy lightness.
Okay. Airy, yeah.
Yeah, very airy. Very, very, very light bodied.
I remember El Dorado being a very good beer.
It's very good.
It's not what you were expecting.
Not quite what I was expecting. Right. I wanted this one to be a little heavier. I wanted like.
Although, does this now make it even more dangerous because you're going to be?
This
able
is
to
an
take
incredibly dangerous beer.
So if it is 12%,
it is 12%.
Yeah, so it's a light beer. You're like, oh, this is the body of a. What was thicker, your Pilsner or that?
The Pilsner may have been thicker.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's kind of what I'm saying. Is
you're going to take these big chugs instead of sipping it like mine,
right? No, yeah, the Pilsner may have been a thicker bodied beer. Is kind of what I'm saying.
That's dangerous. Although sometimes I do enjoy that, but I usually crack open a barley wine because I wanted to sip on it. Yeah. I want it to be slow. I wanted to enjoy it. It's the cognac of beers, essentially. You know,
it's very, very light on the tongue. It's very light, like it floats over your tongue, kind of feeling. It's definitely sweet. It's almost like a vanilla bean kind of sweetness to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's interesting. So it's Imperial milk stout. So that means there's obviously a lot of lactose in this that's sweet. I think it's too sweet, honestly, for what it is. It's so sweet, it's hiding the coffee and the coconut.
Oh, yeah.
I really wish it didn't have that. It's still a good beer, but it's like, this is a dessert beer. I don't want that IPA with this beer. I just wanted that beer instead. I'm going to be slowing this one down a bit.
Yep. We do have a couple super chats to get to.
Oh, yeah.
Mo Zamboni, number 1. I love that name. $5 donation. Thank you so much. Ordered a GTX 970 off eBay with green artifacts and crashes under load. Any advice on how to bring it back to life? #eWaste sucks. Artifacting can usually be a memory issue. What I would do, I would tear the card apart, so tear the cooler off of it, do a complete repaste and repad, and put it back together, see if it works. If it doesn't quite work, maybe undervolted or underclock it ever so slightly and see if you can get it stable. And at that point, you might be able to call it good. And if you can kind of get it working at that point at I think a 970 ran at 1100 megahertz, 1050, something like that. If you can get it stable at like 975, you can get the Maxwell BIOS editor and just cap it at 975. And then you have a fully working card that you don't have to worry about MSI Afterburner being on to undervolt and underclock and all that kind of stuff. Or if the memory's just overheating, then you can underclock your memory, or maybe just the cooling will help it. Maybe it doesn't artifact for 10 minutes and then all of a sudden it artifacts. That does happen. So I would say fix the cooling first, because cooling is probably the number one suspect there. And pray that there's no permanent damage. If there is permanent damage, you might be able to underclock it slightly to get it stable. And that's your second step. Is see if you can drop it 100 megahertz and see if it's still stable enough. And if so, you might have gotten a pretty good deal. So, the repad should hopefully solve any memory overheating. Rev says, I agree. yeah, if it is a memory overheating issue, which oftentimes that's what artifacting is memory getting corrupted as it's trying to be accessed, and the GPU just not knowing what to do with it. So try that. If that doesn't work, oven bake the GPU. You can oven bake it. You can, put it in an oven at 175 for an hour. The thing is, you need to know how to oven bake a card, because if you do it too hot or too long, or it's not properly supported or anything like that, you can completely destroy the card or drop chips and capacitors off of it. If
you don't want to burn your cookie.
Right, you don't want to burn it. You don't want to drop parts off of it. You don't want to... I even don't like using my oven for it. Like, I want a dedicated piece of equipment if I'm going to reflow something, because I don't want lead solder melting in my oven where I just cooked a pizza. Like, that's asking for problems. So... Yep.
And the other super chat was from one of the favorites, Big Spoon.
Spoon.
Hi.
Hi, buddy. $5. He says, hi. What's up?
Yep. He just had a Jack Daniel challenge I saw with another famous YouTuber.
He did.
Yes. I'm pretty sure he outdrank him too.
I'm pretty sure he did. As someone who has also had drinks with Jason, it's not a difficult task.
It's not an accomplishment.
Not oven, food dehydrator. I've never tried a food dehydrator, but I don't see why that wouldn't work.
An easy bake oven.
Actually, go to Goodwill and find yourself a toaster oven for like $10. Because they're temperature controllable. You can usually set them as low as 150. And yeah.
Not a bad way to go.
That's what I like doing is used toaster ovens. Hi folks, y'all plan on doing any networking videos? Networking as far as what? I still have to go through and teach people, like, I've had a list of network videos that I wanted to get to for a long time. Like, how do you crimp a Cat6 cable? Like, simple stuff. Like, those have been ideas floating around for a while, and I probably should just sit down and do it. But I hate crimping cables as much as anyone else does.
Well, what you need to do is you need to film them and keep them in your back pocket. And then, like, there are those weeks of like, oh, it's slow, or something bad happened, with the video. Okay, boom, here's the release.
Yeah.
You need like 4 or 5 of those in your back pocket. And like on a holiday weekend, or sometime you're going to be like, I'm going on vacation. Well, I need to take an extra day to recover from that. I should probably crimp some cables, or this is how you set up a router with all your family and everything at your basic home networking. 6-minute video.
Yeah. Which
is really 4 hours of shooting. Like, my videos are 7, and it's like an hour and a half of shooting and 3 hours of editing.
Boy, how'd you get that lucky?
I know. Well, yeah, because I don't edit that. I just like scrap.
Well, I don't even edit mine anymore.
Yeah, can I just I just send stuff to Rhett now?
If you want to pay for it.
No.
Like, I'll farm that out. I'm all right with you paying part of his salary.
No. I figured
craft computing editing service. That sounds like a.
I figured it was just a perk as being a co-host, is that we got all access to the stuff that you had.
Boy, did you read that contract wrong?
Read? I just signed. It's like every term's in agreement. It's like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
I can't wait to be the next Sentai pad.
Sorry, I had to look up. I have a video coming out shortly. Another video on the Tesla K80. And so I wanted to share a link on here to anyone who may want to buy one. So hold on, let me find how many have sold through my links. There's been a lot. Yeah, so I'm doing some more testing with the Tesla K80, which is a dual GPU solution with 12 gigs of VRAM per GPU, 24 gigs total. And in the previous video, I said I can't partition this GPU. I can't get it to run in a virtual machine. All you can do is run it locally, and you can only run one GPU. I solved all that. So,
yeah.
So if you want a good GPU, let me go ahead and share that link really quick. So hold on. It's in here somewhere. There it is, K80. All right. Yeah, I literally got this working today. How was the K80 average in Unigen Heaven? 120, 150? It was closer to about 95 to 100 at 1080p, high settings, and moderate tessellation, which is equivalent to like 1080 medium, 1080 high in a lot of games. But with 12 gigs of VRAM, you've got a lot of room on some titles to crank up some textures and lower your tessellation and overall resolution, and you'll be sitting pretty well with that. Anyway, you can get those Tesla K80s, which is dual GPUs, which means if you stick it into a Proxmox server, you can get 2 GPUs out of that for $170. And they're GTX, I want to say probably 970, 780, somewhere right around there as far as overall performance goes, but with 12 gigs of VRAM each, 24 gigs total on the card. Now in Proxmox, I can't partition them, but in Hyper-V with GPU-P, I can. And that also applies to the M40. I fixed partitioning for headless GPUs. So that video is coming out hopefully like this weekend. Like maybe as soon as Friday, because I'm going to try to film it tomorrow. But lots of cool stuff going on here at Craft Computing Labs.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of cool stuff and interesting innovations, Blue Moon has been in the news.
Yeah.
With something new. Now, Blue Moon, for both of us, early on in our beer drinking days, and for many of people, have been, well, kind of a gateway beer.
Yeah.
Into the craft world. In fact, you, Jeff, even cloned a cocktail on my show.
I did.
A long time ago. You remember that? Oh, wow. My gosh, the video quality of that's horrible. Shot on a Canon 60D.
It was better than my first videos, so yeah, I'll give you that.
I think it's like out of focus. I was like, hey, check out this. I'm gonna like bend the the camera over.
Production quality has gone up significantly since that time.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I know. I really, some of my higher view videos, I'm like, oh, I really want to reshoot these because these are horrible, but I'll never get the views back. But so Blue Moon, again, it's probably the most well-known Belgian white beer. And actually I did a video with Steve, again, back to horrible quality and audio. If anyone follows Jeff on Twitter, there was some bad audio quality, and we compared Blue Moon, which I believe is probably the most recognizable. It's a white wheat beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're a Belgian white.
Belgian white. Yeah.
That's what it is. The most common. You always see them served with an orange slice, or traditionally, if you go over there, it has very coriander aromatics in the yeast. So, well. Hazy Beers are, as you probably know, if you're anything a fan of this channel or of beer, are just have taken over the beer world. And Blue Moon has jumped in on that trend. And they are going to be nationwide releasing a Blue Moon Hazy Moon. Their Hazy IPA. So I don't know how much of a hazy IPA this is going to be when it's only clocking in at 5.7%.
I mean, it's bigger than all the other Blue Moon beers.
That is true. I am curious. I will try it. I will probably end up doing a review on it, honestly. But
honestly, I'm interested.
Yeah, the weird part is it states it has juicy. Now, hazy beers have a lot of big tropical aromas, and orange is one of them. And Blue Moon is known to have that orange zest.
Right.
So they have aromas of orange, tropical, and coconut, which is kind of interesting. I would love to kind of see that in it, but I'm betting that's a push. I'm betting that's more of a publicity person sitting there, right? Oh, what tropical flavors can I write in this, beer? When really it's probably just like Citra and Mosaic.
What do the craft people want?
Yeah, So, but hey, that's cool. They're expanding. I like how they said award-winning. It's like, but it's just been first released.
Not out yet.
I think Blue Moon, the brewery, is award-winning, and just the way they phrase things is like, wait a second there.
What are you, PETA?
So this is supposed to be launched nationwide, I believe, actually now. I think it just came out August 30th. So, or 2 days ago.
Yeah, Monday.
So, yeah, if you can find that and you are maybe on a budget, for all we know, this could actually be pretty cheap, Blue Moon. Heck, if it is decent, I'll try it. And if it's good, it's good. I'll give it an honest review. But yeah, so even the big major Molson Coors, Blue Moon people, they're going with the haze craze.
Yep.
It's hitting everywhere. So yeah, interesting stuff. But yeah, Blue Moon, I mean, I think wasn't that your gateway craft beer?
It was one of them, definitely. So mine was Deschutes Black Butte Porter was the one that like really got me started. Blue Moon was one of the 12 packs that I picked out when I was like, I never had the college drunk days outside of like a couple experiences with liquor. Like I had a couple of days with Black Velvet.
Oh,
yeah. I had some Monarch 151, and from like those couple of moments on, it's been like mid-shelf and up. And never beer. Never a Bud Light, never a Coors Light, never a Miller, never I have never ever liked the smell of domestic beer.
No. It does have a unique pungent aroma.
Yes. And the only time I ever smelled it was when it was stale. Or when I was at in-laws' house and the house smelled of cigarettes and domestic beer, and it was like
that's as most domestic beers.
Right.
You always find that cigarette butt in it.
Right. Exactly. And so it's like I never liked the smell. There was nothing ever attractive about it. And so I was just not a beer person until I was probably like 25. And 25, I started going, beer has to be good somewhere, just not these. And so I started like looking around, the local Safeway and things like that and going, what's different? What's not, what's America's not best lager? Because apparently lager sucks.
What haven't I seen on TV, NASCAR, or the Super Bowl?
Right.
Okay, let's go buy those beers.
Right. And so it's like, German style, Belgian white. That sounds different. Right. It's not.
Sounds different.
Right. So I remember picking up Blue Moon. I remember picking up Black Butte Porter. I was a couple of years later to IPAs. But dark beers like right away. Like stouts, like
stouts. Well, I mean, I think stouts are a lot of people's gateway into craft beer. Just from the chocolatey note, it's completely different than your standard Pilsner's lagers that are what the hipster or domestic beers, that we drink, that a lot of people drink. So it's just 180. So you're already sitting there. If it's dark, you're like, wow, this is just different. I'm cool. And we're not talking Guinness dark. Guinness basically just tastes like water. But yeah, I remember though, I had Blue Boar by Henry Weinhardt's. It was
Henry Weinhardt's Hef was one of my others.
It was
Hifa, as they call it.
Well, that's Widmer.
Or Widmer, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Widmer, but it was Henry Weinhardt's Blue Boar, Widmer's Hifa, or Hef as everyone calls it.
Yeah, it's Hef.
With American Hef, whatever. The other one with
American
the orange
Hefeweizen. You can't even say it right.
I know, it's so horrible. Blue Moon, and then usually like it was actually Mirapont. It was New Belgium's Mirapont ale.
Yeah.
And Fat Tire. Fat Tire. I
never did the Fat Tire, and in fact, I was late onto the Rogue bandwagon as well, as far as like Dead Guy Ale and all those kinds of things.
Well, it was Steve who introduced me to Dead Guy Ale and Stone IPA, and I distinctly remember drinking them and being like, these taste so horrible, they have to be good. Like, this is what the cool people drink. Like if you've ever had straight espresso for the first time, you're like, but it's so popular, I gotta keep trying it. And then it grows on you. I mean, okay, great example, Andy from eTechnic.
Oh yeah.
How many times throughout this show have we made fun of him, and on social media, Twitter, we've talked about beer stuff. You've even experienced with him firsthand.
I've been drinking with Andy many a times.
Yeah, big Stella guys. Like, I don't like bitter beers.
I met Andy with a Stella in his hand.
Yeah,
that's how I first met Andy in person.
So through, I want to give credit to you and me. I think we drove Andy. Man, you know what? I know. I'm gonna give third credit. Claw. You, me, and our awesome moderator, Claw, who's also a moderator for Andy, pretty much pushed him into drinking IPAs. And now Andy has stated he is purposely seeking IPAs out because he wants that flavor.
Yeah. And all of a sudden he's had some of this bold flavor and he goes, I find myself wanting it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of the idea I had when I had the Stone IPA and the Arrogant Bastard. It was like, these are so bad.
Oh, Arrogant Bastard was one that took me like 3 or 4 beers to go like, I guess I get it.
and Dead Guy and Dead Guy. But it was like always like, I have to have.
I still don't like Dead Guy that much.
It's okay.
It's not one that. Yeah.
For the longest time, I thought it was a strong ale, but it's a Maibach, actually. It's technically classified as a Maibach. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was one of those, it's so intriguing. It's like, it's so bad, but I gotta keep drinking it because everyone else is drinking it. It's gotta be something good. And then you drink it so much, and then you go back to what you had, and you're like, this is so flavorless. This is lackluster. And then you've had your horrible old beer, and then you go back to what you thought was disgusting, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm picking out
I kind of get
all these notes. I kind of get it now. I'm getting these complex notes, just like with scotches and bourbons and everything like that. You're like, oh, this is too peaty. I'll never drink this again. You're on your 4th bottle, and you're like, oh, I find nuances. Yeah. It's like that. So, but
well, in your 4th bottle, you're bound to find something.
I'm not talking like 4th bottle in the night. I mean, because as you're down
by the 4th bottle, it's like, this is the most wonderful thing ever. I get it. I get why people drink scotch.
I totally get this. That ABV stuff really is good stuff. No.
Novella wants to know if I liked the barrel-aged Dead Guy. I actually did like the Dead and Deader, is what they call it. The Dead and Deader Ale, which is barrel-aged in their Rogue Whiskey. And that is pretty darn solid. And and like John said, it's classified as a MyBox. You don't get a lot of barrel-aged MyBox, and it was definitely interesting. And it's a Halloween-themed beer that's not pumpkin. What's not to love there?
There's that too. So yeah, it's got that skeleton all the time. So, but right. I guess my thought was Blue Moon is a lot of people's early on safe craft beer.
Yep.
And IPA has a big stink behind it.
Yeah.
Maybe this, with the haze craze, which is meant to be a little bit juicier and less of that grassy note, this might bring even more people in.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't like IPAs, but you do like Blue Moon and you do trust them and you want something a little bit different, this might be actually up your alley.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I'm even a little bit excited for this one. Like I kind of want to try what a large commercial brand does with a hazy IPA.
Yeah, and I think this actually might, to my knowledge, offhand right now, from my memory, might be the largest distributed hazy IPA.
I'm pretty sure it is. Like,
yeah, again, this is Molson Coors.
Yeah,
Molson Coors, however you say it.
Isn't Blue Moon InBev?
No, I believe it's Molson Coors.
I thought it was InBev.
We're both clicking the link.
Blue Moon,
Molson Coors.
Molson Coors. Okay, yep. I could have sworn they were InBev. I could have sworn.
Does it matter?
Yeah, it doesn't. But yeah.
But yeah, so this might technically be the most distributed hazy IPA. I'd love to see
I'm thinking 10 barrel. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to see the classification of like how hazy it is. I'm betting similar to the Stout light review. Like it's gonna be a hazy. I'm like, I can see through this. Yeah. Like, no, that's not a hazy. Yeah. It's gonna be, they're gonna filter their hazy.
Yeah. Definitely curious. All right, we do have a couple more super chats. Mo Zamboni, $5 again. Thank you again, sir. Thank you so much. Mo Zamboni is due to my late father's disinterest with the game catchphrase. Mozambique was the word, and said close enough, and threw it to my mom. LOL. So said Mo Zamboni instead of Mozambique. That's hilarious. Close enough. I get the points. Damn it. That's awesome. And Big Spoon, $5 again. 101 watching, only 39 likes. Tough crowd. I agree. We're up to 51 now, so.
But hit that like.
Seriously, what the heck, people?
That's what the YouTubers say. Smash that like button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit that like button. Smash it if that's what you need to do. And I will see you in the next video.
Okay.
That's my Peter McKinnon.
I was gonna say, like, some of those. Yeah.
And I'm not making fun of Peter McKinnon. I love his energy. God, I love Peter's energy.
Well, if enough Coke, you could have it too. I'm not saying you could. I'm not saying that's what it is. But what? Speaking, when I was talking about bourbons and scotches and trying to enjoy that, there are some clear spirits out there that vodka to be one of them. This is a bad segue, so
I was going to say gin.
Yeah, this is a bad segue. But speaking of,
there are some that I like.
Here we go. Speaking of domestics and going into an area that is not usually where they should be.
That is not usually tread by these companies.
Yes, exactly. Natty Light. You heard me right. Natty Light.
Natty Light
is making vodka now. And the worst part is it's only 30%. So yeah, they're coming out. Yeah, I know. It's malt liquor. Let's be true. It's malt liquor. They're coming out with, I believe, 3 flavors. Let me see, where was it? It's 3 flavors of vodka: lemonade, strawberry lemonade, and black cherry lemonade. So obviously there is a theme of lemonade,
right?
But here's the one.
Over under. How awful are these going to be?
Oh, horrible, horrible, horrible. However, there are 2 catches to this, and that might make me buy it.
Yeah.
One, they're supposed to be ranging in between $9.99 and $13. That's not a good thing.
That's below Smirnoff flavored vodka pricing. That starts at 13 and goes to 20.
But here's another thing. Here's the big caveat. They are so sure you're going to love it. They guarantee a full refund if you don't like it. If you submit your receipt and state that you don't like it, they will refund your money. They will refund your $13, up to $13. So that's how sure that their product will not be really worth it.
Mo Zamboni says Boone's Farm is officially on notice. Bravo, sir.
An educated man right there.
Yes. Oh, bravo. And GI wants to know, hang on, wait a second, is that legally vodka? Still yes, because some spirits are very, very strict in their definition of what the spirit is. Let's take the definition of bourbon in the United States. Bourbon is a distilled spirit that must be aged in new American oak, charred barrels, for a minimum of 3 years to be considered a bourbon. And the final version must be 80 proof or higher. That is 40.0% ABV or higher. And there's some other, and bourbon also implies that it's a 51% or higher corn mash, whereas a rye is a 51% or higher rye mash, and American whiskey can be a blend of various grains. But it is very regimented, very specific on what those terms are.
Yep.
Vodka means a distilled spirit.
Yep.
Rum means distilled sugar. There's like no specification for rum or vodka on where they're made, what they're made from, how old they're aged, what else is in them, if they're cut with anything, are they put in a barrel, are they not put in a barrel, there's no specification for any of those spirits.
Even whiskey's got that light of even whiskey has a standard, but Pabst really blew that away. Their standard is just age it in a barrel,
right?
A charred barrel.
Whiskey is not that much removed from vodka. Almost every spirit starts as vodka. And then depending on what you do with it, it turns it into other spirits. Now, you can have a corn mash vodka that's 51% corn that you put in a barrel for 3 years in New American charred oak, and all of a sudden it becomes a bourbon. But before that, it's a vodka. But if it's barrel aged for 2 years, now it's a whiskey.
Do you think they would have been better off calling this moonshine?
No, I don't.
Because the flavored moonshine industry has been booming.
It has been. But I don't think the vodka industry, as far as let's just say the lemonade target market, has ever gone away.
That's true, but it's so saturated.
It is so saturated.
You already, like you said, the Smirnoff,
Smirnoff's already got that thing cornered.
Yeah, exactly. There's like 1 or 2 other brands that have it, and I don't never buy it. So yeah, Absolute that's like the high end. Even theirs is like 35%. So, yeah, Smirnoff is always. I would just be curious if trying to take a different route. But again, Natty is not necessarily known for being craft. I also found this very funny that they're like, hey, we just took 8 beers that are really old from our lineup, and Molson Coors or whoever owns Natty Light got rid of them. Now let's add some vodka to our portfolio.
Yeah.
We just got rid of 13 core beers that people used to love. One was a Natty Light, by the way.
Right.
I think it wasn't the holiday one. I think it was their second holiday one, but apparently it's good enough to base a vodka off of.
Yeah.
Probably just distilled that down.
Yep. But no, there's a lot of debate about what is a whiskey right now. I gave the definition for a bourbon and a bourbon alone, and then there's also rye, which is the same as bourbon, but it's 51% rye as the mash bill. There's also just whiskey in the Americas, which has no age requirement other than it is barrel aged, and no specific mash requirement other than it is done with a mix of barley, wheat, or rye, or corn.
Yeah, barley, but it doesn't have, there's no percentage.
There's no percentage difference in that. So in America, we technically have three types of whiskey. We produce bourbon, we produce rye, we produce American whiskey, and bourbon and rye are very specific as far as 51% or higher of the grain bill of either corn or rye, and 3 years minimum in new charred American oak. That's the minimum requirements. It can be aged longer, but it can't be aged shorter. And then there's straight, and then there's other specifications, but
blended. You can do blended and blah blah blah. Yeah,
but as far as American whiskey, all it means is that it contains either wheat, barley, rye, or corn, or a mash mix of two or more of those, or even just one of those.
Aged in a barrel.
And it was aged in a barrel at some point.
Yeah.
That's it.
If you would like me to pull out some whiskey as classified, I pulled it back, but it's 8 seconds aged.
Yep.
It is clear as vodka. So it's not good. It is Pabst vodka, or Pabst, I said vodka, but whiskey. But yeah, it is their claim to fame is 8 seconds aged in charred oak. I think that actually might be the only thing. It's multiple grain mash and charred oak.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be new. Is it new charred oak?
I don't think it has to be new charred oak. It just has to be aged in oak, or aged in barrels.
I think aged in barrel. I think it has to be charred barrels though.
Yes. Yeah, it does have to be charred barrels.
Yeah, charred barrels. But it can be repurposed charred barrels.
And the funny thing is that American whiskeys have to be, as far as bourbon and rye goes, has to be new American oak charred barrels. Scotch has to be aged in used barrels. So oftentimes what happens is whiskey manufacturers will produce whiskey in the Americas. They will age them in brand new American oak barrels. They will then sell those barrels to Scotch manufacturers, who will then age their Scotch in now used barrels for 6, 12, 18 years. And then those barrels get sold on down the line to whoever else wants them, whether it's cognac, they come back to America to be aged in Scotch barrels, whether it's
beer barrels
or whatever. So yeah, the barrels literally travel all over the world because the Americas can only use them once to produce bourbon and rye.
Yeah, no, actually there is a huge history of like barrel tracing of there's even a big market of like, I want a individual marked barrel, because a lot of these barrels are individually marked and serial numbered. So you can go and find a barrel and do it. I believe actually a very famous story comes from, it was either Russian River or someone else, but they had an original like Johnny Walker or Elijah Craig barrel.
Yeah,
like one of the an original one they've been using forever, and they had no idea how they got it.
Yeah,
and they were aging beer in it for a year or two, and then they ended up giving it back to them because it was like
like a barrel from the early 1800s.
Yes, exactly. Like double-digit barrel.
Yeah,
they're like, how did we get this?
Barrel 73?
Just random chance type of a thing. But yeah, there's just some interesting, cool stories. But then, unfortunately, when you find that stuff, it may not be good, but they'll charge you for it.
Right.
And it's like, this is totally not worth the $500 I paid for this Scotch.
Is that why cognac is so expensive? That can be why cognac is so expensive. Cognac is just overaged brandy. So Oftentimes, if you see cognac on a recipe, you can swap it out for a pretty inexpensive brandy, and you're good to go. In fact, Corbel, what is the? Hold on. Yeah, Corbel. They make a pretty good set of brandy. Starts at like $12, and in fact, you can get a 7-year aged brandy for I think $17. So yeah, Corbel is my brandy / cognac of choice because I'm not spending $40 on a bottle of cognac.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's good. I'm sure there's a cognac aficionado in the audience who just unsubscribed.
Oh, actually, I've actually had a cognac or a beer aged in cognac barrel, and it's fantastic. It's
really
right
good
up there with a burn because that sweet, caramely molasses flavor you'll get is just fantastic. Especially with it was a Belgian strong ale aged in cognac barrels. It was fantastic.
Ooh, that sounds wonderful.
It was, and I paid a premium for it. But yeah, so that right there is all of the news.
Yep.
Hey, you know what? We made it pretty far.
We did.
With what we had. I like it. I'll go with it.
Yeah. This is still incredibly light-bodied. And I'm making sure to tell myself to sip it because I could just like gulp this. I could totally just like slam this beer.
Like I'm feeling this and I'm not enjoying. Like it's a good beer, but I'm just not like.
Yeah.
It's too much.
And I have to say, while this is good, it's not nearly as good as I wanted it to be.
There was a forum I was on. We were talking about aging beer, and how the guy asked, it's his first time aging a beer, and should he age it or not?
Yeah,
because he aged a beer for 1 year, and he thought it was fantastic. So then he asked the question, how long?
Yeah,
and it is true that aging beer.
The answer is great question.
That's exactly true. Right. Yes, exactly. The problem is you have no idea how that beer was stored before you bought it. Right. You have no idea what went on. And then after that, are you properly storing it yourself? Unlike wine, beer is not supposed to be shelved sideways. It's actually supposed to be standing up vertically.
Yep.
I mean, it's okay to do it for the first year or so, but if there's any active yeast or anything like that sideways, you're just causing more yeast and more surface area for that yeast to touch and everything.
Yeah.
And it's just going to contaminate it differently. And then there's temperature control.
Yeah.
You want it to be either, if you have room in your fridge, great, put it in your fridge. Yeah. But if you don't, you're looking for like basement cooling. Yeah,
you're looking for subterranean. You want 65 is what you want for aging beer.
Which for aging beer, for most people, they don't have room in their fridges to hold something for 5 years.
I've had that beer for 2 years.
but then, that's the thing, though. So you've had it for 2 years. Yeah. How was it stored before you bought it?
That's a great question because I bought it off the shelf somewhere.
Probably in someone's back room at room temperature, going through the seasons in unconditioned, it went to 70, then 80 in that room. Then they dropped it down to 60 and, that's different. So unfortunately, if you don't buy it fresh and then you don't age it yourself, if you're buying a cellared beer already cellared, that's going to be tough. It's a 50-50. It might be more of a collector's item just to say, hey, I have this old of a beer.
Right. We have a number of beer stores that John and I frequent pretty often, pretty regularly. Oh, yeah. There's a couple that I will buy cellared beers from, and there's a couple that I absolutely will not.
I know the marketplace.
Yes, you do. The one that's closest to me, I will not buy cellared beer from. There's one up in Portland that I will. There's another one down in Corvallis that I will, and then there's a bunch in between that
nope. Yeah, it's if you're just out and be like, I want to have a really old beer, and you're a new beer drinker, sure, go have that experience. It's a fun time.
Yeah.
it may be bad. You might feel bad about spending that large amount of money because you're going to be paying that little bit of a premium.
Yep.
And if it's cheap and cellared, it's probably not going to be a good beer anyways.
Right.
If you are actually a beer drinker, you might want to ask, how was this stored? I mean, if it's a 2016, 17 and was sitting out on an open shelf,
yeah,
chances are it probably wasn't stored properly.
Right. Yeah. And that's my 2016. I bought it, I want to say in 2019.
Yeah.
Might have even been early 2019. Because I was moving the latter half of 2019 and I wasn't buying a lot of spirits then. So, but I had this before I moved the first time. So I've had it a while now. It was as long as I've had it, it's been either in pretty temperature controlled, like high of 70, or it's been in my fridge for the last 2 years. It's been in my fridge. And so it's like, I stored it right, but that's only half of its lifetime. I bought it off a shelf that long ago. So. Exactly.
And there's that issue. So little words of the wise. So now that's the thing though. My beer fridge has gotten so full. I do still collect stuff like that. Like I have a Firestone Walker. I think it's anniversary, like maybe 9 or 10. That's really old. But I know it probably wasn't stored because I did it through a beer trade.
Yeah.
So I already know it went through the mail.
Yeah.
Which 3 or 4 days. It's more of just I have something this old.
Yeah.
It's a cool collector's item.
Yeah. Novella Hub wants to know how many beers in your fridge are actually collector's items.
Right now, well, that was the story I was going to get to. Yeah. Probably like 40%.
Yeah.
And I will still probably drink them, but those type of beers I still save for like Jeff Rett or someone like people, my friends come over. I'm not going to drink. I will never drink one of those by myself.
Yeah.
Unless I have a duplicate, because then I will.
Right. And that's kind of what I am. If I see a rare beer on a shelf or in a fridge or there's a couple places locally that I can get properly cellared beers, and they'll do Twitter releases and things like that, like, hey, we're getting rid of a case of this.
Yeah.
Right. And John will text me and I'm like, yeah, I already saw it, I'll get you a bottle.
They have done that multiple times.
But
closer to you.
So at those times, from those trusted places, I will buy multiple bottles of collector's beers that are multiple years aged, and then it's like I can have one of those on the show because I feel like I'm drinking that collectively, but it's not something I'm going to open just on like a Thursday night for myself.
Oh gosh, no. Yeah.
No.
And what's so weird is now. Well, that was the problem. Is I've now gotten to my shelf of there's my collectibles and then there's my shareables.
Yeah,
that's a whole different category.
Right. And these are the beers that I want people to experience with me.
Yes, and now I only probably have like a rack and a half. Well, actually, I do have a whole shelf of dedicated. If I'm going somewhere, these are the beers I'm bringing, and I don't want to drink them because I'm like, I'm sick and tired of drinking these.
Yeah.
It's those jammy sour. I am so tired of drinking jammy sour.
I have a jammy sour for you still.
Oh, God. I'm so tired of drinking them. I went to a birthday party this week, and they were like, hey, don't bring presents, just bring beer. And I was like, okay, great. I brought a 4-pack of jammy sours.
Yes.
I was like, I need to get rid of these. Every family event that I have, where like it's me, Steve, and my nephew, who is the only other beer drinker who's willing to try it, is, hey, I brought 2 jammy sours. Let's drink these. Yeah. And it's just like, because I'm done with them. They were cool for.
They're one-trick ponies, in my opinion.
One-trick ponies. Yeah, they're done. And similar with the hazies, we've talked about the acid burn, and once you've had X amount of hazies, you've had them all, I guess that's kind of why I was interested in Blue Moon's take on it. And I've always been a very advent person of brew a good, clear IPA first, and then I'll drink your beers.
Harley says that when I open something from the back end of the basement, I refer to it as bottle lottery.
Ooh.
I think I'm going to steal that. Because I have some beers that I've saved for multiple years. I have no idea if they're going to be good right now or not. I just have no clue. They started as good beers, and that's why I bought them and why I wanted to save them.
So the interesting thing is I have good beers to give to you.
Uh-huh.
I then have beers to give to you.
Yes.
But the problem is, I know if I give them to you and I'm not there, you will never drink them.
You're right. You're right about one thing.
So, dear God, I hope 2022 is better.
Oh,
and
me
you're
too.
gonna be drinking some really old domestic beer.
So I bought this at the tail end of 2019, and I wanted you to try it.
Yeah.
Do you remember 2019 and how naive we were at the problems that we had?
Oh gosh, GPU prices are so
high.
Man. Oh, this sucks, man.
I had to pay full MSRP for a 2070. Oh
gosh. $1,100 for a GPU. What? I still have, by the way, 4 Loko for you. So it's I got them all. I got it all. In fact, I kind of think I have more of those taking up shelf space of just stuff for you.
Are these like the 14%er for Locos? Yeah. Okay.
The hard seltzer 14%.
Oh, okay. You got some of those. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like, look, I know you're not going to drink all of it, but I need you to have a drink of it.
I'll have a drink of it.
It is worth the $2.99 of it that I spent for it. 14% and $2.99. Can you believe that? You still have to drink the distilled MD 2020.
Oh, I'm surprised that hasn't eaten through the bottle yet.
It's vodka.
Oh.
Ooh. What do you think was better? The Natty Light vodka or this?
You know what? Give me a strawberry lemonade Natty Light and we'll compare.
Oh, that would be fun because that smells like Fruit Loops. It doesn't taste like it, but it smells like it.
Oh, pray for me.
So I can't wait for we'll see each other again soon, and I have saved everything, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
I have saved it all, and it's just constantly growing. I do have, like I said, I do have some good stuff. I have some good stuff for you too, John. I have some Firestone Walker box beer for you. Cocktail based. You still have a beer of mine that I do. We were supposed to do a video of.
Yep.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
Man.
Right?
Oh, God.
Remember 2019 and all those problems that we thought were the worst things ever?
Oh, man.
Man, we just can't find time to get together to drink this beer.
We're always like, damn. We'll drink it next week. It's fine. We'll drink it next time. Man, if we only knew, we'd have been faced all of 2019.
Yep. Well, Steve and I certainly got that all out of our systems.
Yes, I know.
Anyway.
Unfortunately, you get sting. Well, that's what happens when you guys were neighbors.
That was so much fun.
Yeah.
Do you still have a couple Mother of All Storms for me?
I do.
Yeah.
I do have, again, I've been saving good. I do have good stuff for you.
I will say, John, Beer Santa will probably be making a run around your neighborhood sometime this week.
Oh, all right. Well,
because we got to prep for episode 200 next week.
And yeah, again, sad note. Unfortunately, things just happened.
Yeah.
But we're gonna make the best of it, and I promise next week is going to be an awesome show.
Yes.
All 4 of us are going to be on there. I mean, when all 4 of us are on, it's always a great show.
It's usually a good show. We are going to have matching beers, and a couple of them are double digits at that. So
yeah, it's going to be a good time. Very good time.
Yep. Novella Hub, speaking of, thank you very much for providing said beers for our episode 200. He sent us a 3-pack for each of us, and that's what we're going to be drinking on the show. So we will all be opening the same beer, just from different places.
Yeah. So
I've also got some Hop Slams. I don't think I have any Hop Slam for you. I think that was for Steve and Rhett.
I've had it before. So
yeah, exactly. No, I've got a pair of those for each of them. I do have a couple of beers that were specifically for you, though. So both to review and otherwise.
God, if they're just not pickle, please.
They're not pickle. Well, one.
God. So
you're not getting out of it that easy.
No, I'm not. Unfortunately, I did a bad thing. Is I did trade for very, very interesting pickle beer. It was okay. Here's the premise.
You gave someone else beer for a pickle beer, John?
Hang on. No. I'm gonna shoot you this premise. Bourbon and pickle. Bourbon and pickle.
Okay. I've
never heard of that.
I have heard of that. In fact, you can order at a good number of bars, at least good bars, a shot of Irish whiskey and a pickle back. That's totally a thing.
No.
That is totally a thing.
No.
It should not be a thing.
No.
In my opinion. But you can order a shot of Irish whiskey and a pickle back.
Because that's Irish whiskey, not bourbon. Bourbon's
right.
Sweeter.
Right. No. Yeah.
Although I would be curious, is it a dill pickle or is it a sweet pickle?
I believe,
because then it's
yeah. I don't care what it is.
But anyway,
honestly.
so that's one of the I have that coming in. Hopefully, the guy actually said he's shipping it Friday.
Okay.
So very, very interesting. You're lucky I'm not giving you one of those. Although
I would never drink it.
I did buy the standard pickle beer that I hated. Rebought them just so you could have one can. You have to have one.
You can't force me to.
You have to have one on
you can't.
Video. I will.
No, you can't do it.
Oh, I can't.
I will not. I put my foot down about very few things.
Jeff, it's craft beer and you're craft computing.
That's right. I can also draw the line because I have 235,000 subscribers who will listen to me about my educated opinions on things.
And then they're going to sit there and be like, well, why won't Jeff try this? Is he afraid? Why will he not give us our opinion? We judge Jeff's taste and beer opinion.
So in my household, my wife and both of my kids love pickles. The problem comes in that they can't open the pickle jar when there's a new pickle jar in the house. And they will always ask me if I will open the pickles for them. And I always say I have a moral obligation to refuse.
It's one way to always get your wife to appreciate you is buy her new pickle jar and go away for the weekend.
Right.
She can open it.
Yeah. But I am beyond not being able to stand pickles. It is like an involuntary gag reflex. So I
gagged on it too.
John, I understand that. I flat out refuse.
If anything, you have to have at least a can in your fridge.
It'll sit there forever.
Great.
It'll outlive me.
It'll be the oldest aged canned beer you have.
Oh God.
I purposely bought it. I bought 4.
Raid Shadow Legends ad for pickle beer. If John pays me as much as Raid Shadow Legends has offered me, I'll open the pickle beer. I didn't say I'd drink it. I said I would open it.
You know what? Even if you opened it and smelled it, you Beer pulp. Because, okay, so the difference between this pickle beer and normal pickle beers is normal beers that claim to be pickle are cucumbered, dill, and salt based.
Right.
So it's almost the beer.
Now, what's funny is I don't
brine.
mind cucumbers at all.
I have another sour for you then.
Like I've done cucumber sodas and cucumber sours. I've done.
So
One of my favorite summer cocktails is a Gordon's Cup, which is sliced cucumbers and lime with gin.
I have a cucumber, lime, and sea salt.
See, I'm on board. Just don't pickle that shit.
It's not pickled. It tastes like it, but it's not. I even dumped it. That's how much it tasted like pickle.
Wow.
I dumped it.
Wow.
I don't dump beers. I dumped that one.
I've only ever dumped a couple. And
I've dumped.
John, you and I dumped one on the show early on.
Yes, I think I can count as
you and
many
I
as I can on one hand.
Yeah. No, and
that's still one of them.
And that's about me too. Like,
yeah.
Like I've only dumped maybe 4, maybe 5 ever.
But yeah, this one's a 7% sour with sea salt, lime, and pickle, or not pickle, but cucumber. Take that as like, oh, okay, because they claim it to be, they call it office water, not, I think it's like office water or psychiatrist office water. You know, you get that cucumber and water with lime or lemon, which I enjoy. It's very light, very crisp, very easy to drink, very summery. It intrigued me.
Scott says, just thinking of Portlandia at this point. Put a pickle on it.
Oh, that's exactly. So the difference, though, is with that, if you ever go on my channel and look up worst beer I've ever had, is the title.
Mm-hmm.
That pickle beer is not it's not dill and cucumber.
Yeah.
It is a 50-50 mix. It's more of a cocktail.
Yeah.
It's half gose, half pickle juice. They just straight up dumped pickle juice in a chaser of a gose, a salted beer. So it's extra salty pickle juice. That's all it is. Even Steve, who loves pickles, was like, yeah, this is a bit much.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this is good, but I only want like a single sip. It's nasty. But this is the same company who's doing the bourbon and pickle one. So I found someone to give me that one.
Yeah.
So that'll be an interesting. Hoping the video will come out soon. Or, Jeff, you're a bourbon aficionado. You'd love to do it. I will save it. Let it age for a year, and we can do it together.
No.
I will look at that video vertically, and it'll be a yes. Okay. Hey, Jeff.
In English, please.
Yeah.
No.
Curious. Did you get to watch? We talked about the start of Star Trek Lower Decks. Did you get to watch the last 2 episodes? The Tom Paris episode.
I did
to be more specific.
I haven't yet. It's on my list. I have been so busy this last couple of weeks.
I know. Well, that's why we need beers right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I meant to get to him. I just didn't. And I did see the Star Trek Prodigy trailer.
I saw that as well. I am intrigued by that.
Yeah.
I do like the graphics. I know early on we talked about that being because it's a Nickelodeon backed Star Trek.
Yes.
And being a little bit too kiddie, kind of more Clone Wars, we were kind of thinking.
Yeah, but I'm not necessarily opposed to that either.
But I liked the I was talking like graphics.
Oh, graphically, yeah.
I do like the high end. I think they put a lot of budget into the graphics of this.
Yeah.
And from my
this is not Paw Patrol.
No, yeah, this is like Paw Patrol, the movie graphic.
Right, right.
It looks pretty good. I think it is Nickelodeon. It's going to be streaming on Nickelodeon, but I think it's a collaboration between Nickelodeon and Paramount.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit more money than their standard show. And from the trailer, to me, the premise came off as it's in a bit of more of a distant future. And there's an experimental ship called the Prodigy.
Yes.
And so it's not necessarily these gifted kids being trained by Janeway, which was, again, the original theme was like, oh, Prodigy, okay, these are
right,
you know,
best of the best at Starfleet Academy, right,
type thing,
right.
So so Janeway, who was Admiral Janeway, it may be her pet project. That
right.
actually could be
right.
kind of a cool concept. But we also know Chakotay
will be on Prodigy, right?
Will be on Prodigy. We know
Captain Chakotay
could be Captain. We know Tom Paris did make an appearance on Lower Deck this past episode, so maybe they're getting a lot of the Voyager crew. You know, I'd love to see some DS9 characters.
I would
show
too.
Up on a couple of these.
Yeah, DS9 has been strangely absent from both Picard, Lower Decks, and now Prodigy.
I think they mentioned DS9 because okay, you haven't watched it.
Yeah.
But the main character in Lower Decks, the girl.
Mariner.
Mariner said her first post was DS9.
Okay.
But that's it. It was like a quick and done.
One and done, right.
One and done. Hey, my first thing was like, you never told me that. Well, I've talked to you a lot about this stuff.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Okay.
And so, but no character, no Quark's Bar, no, Captain Sisko.
Yeah, there's been, I mean, obviously there's been even references to Enterprise and whatnot with Riker getting off the holodeck and things like that. There's been some references to Voyager. But DS9 has been strangely absent from a lot of the internal references made by all the new shows.
Yeah.
It bumps me out a little bit.
Well, they were kind of the dark stepchild, and then Enterprise came in, and that was really bad. But I don't know, Enterprise is okay.
Yeah.
It's way better than the first two seasons of Discovery.
Yeah.
Third season of Discovery is not horrible. It's actually I recommend third season of Discovery or that one. But I'd like to see a little bit more DS9 love. But yeah, no, the Prodigy one obviously is a bit more family friendly. These refugee kids find this abandoned spaceship, which was probably, from the sounds of it, looks like a project spaceship, prototype. And Janeway is this holographic director or trainer, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe similar to the Doctor in Voyager. So maybe there might be
Please state the nature of the coffee emergency.
I would love to see some jokes of her being like, I can't believe my legacy is now I'm a hologram or something like that, something to that reference.
I'm an admiral, not a doctor.
Yeah, something like, something along that line. That would be some really funny stuff. There was I don't know if you got to see it. Did you see a trailer? There was a brief trailer, teaser trailer for a Voyager documentary. Did you see that? Which was again a very, very teaser-esque, but similar to, I think they're trying to do something very similar to the What We Left Behind with DS9,
which was phenomenal.
I loved it. I liked it a lot. If you are a Star Trek fan, DS9
it's required watching.
It is a required watch. I mean, DS9 is probably their second favorite one, like most sane people's, anyways. And it's a good watch.
I can mute you at any moment.
Yeah, that means you're just muting the truth.
Some would call it censoring. Some would call it...
I'm just trying to fill time right now.
Yep. No, I do hope DS9 gets a little bit more love in both current seasons of Lower Decks, as well as I'd love to see some more references, or maybe the occasional voice actor drop in kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because we've seen that from a couple other things. I mean, obviously we have Riker and Troy. I'd love to see... Obviously, we'd love to see Captain Worf in...
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, technically, I guess there has been love because of the whole 7 of 9 with Picard.
That wasn't DS9. That was not
that was Voyager.
That's
Voyager,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been no talk of Jem'Hadar or changelings or... well, I guess we did have Wolf 359 was an inside job.
Yeah, which that was great, but
yeah, changelings aren't real and blah blah blah. But yeah, so there was that drop, which I really appreciated.
No. So I will state though, I think it's the third episode. I think you'll love the Easter eggs in it because it is full of them. Is essentially they have to go. The premise, which you can go read on IMDb, so I'm not spoiling anything, is they have to go categorize a dead collectors. So like the guy that carried data, collectors.
Okay.
And so they have to categorize all of his stuff.
I guess the mask from Masks is
everything in the background. There's like rooms upon rooms, and there was a whole Twitter feed of just, hey, how many things can you name that was on here? And like 36 to 70 different things of the background of. Here was every single reference to everything. And so it was, you do have to know actually some pretty obscure, like it goes even to the Star Trek original cartoon series.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some good stuff that I even have like, oh, I don't remember that. What is that referencing?
And actually, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, there was a very brief a couple brief references to DS9 on Star Trek Picard. So first and foremost, we had Quarks was a bar sign when they were visiting the casino planet.
Yeah, I remember that.
And there was the USS Nog.
I don't remember that.
Yes.
So that was
no, that wasn't Picard. That was Star Trek Online. USS Nog got an official starship.
Okay. Because I remember,
or no, it might have been Picard. It might have been something. I don't remember, but I know there's a USS Nog now as a tip of the hat
I forget the actor's name. But.
Yes.
But yeah, well, that was the whole Left Behind. They talked you through. They're like, hey, how do we do one last episode? And Nog was captain of the Defiant.
Yep.
And then unfortunately he died.
Yeah.
Within the first 2 minutes of the episode.
Yeah.
But the Defiant died.
Yeah.
So, but also an homage.
This was. So I'm looking it up here now.
So they say USS Nog.
No, this was in Discovery. Yes.
Discovery.
Yeah, USS Nog was a 32nd century Federation starship, an Eisenberg class named after the actor.
Yeah, so that was probably season 3 when they did all the cool stuff, because they also did like a Voyager G, something like that in there too. Again, as far as Discovery, skip 1 and 2. 2 has like 2 good episodes in it.
Yeah.
But 3 is really kind of back to a lot of good Star Trek stuff, because I really like the idea of the Federation lost their way.
Yeah.
They lost the power.
Yeah.
And you have an original members, a whole crew of members saying like, no, this is how Starfleet was. And we stood for this. And they kind of rejuvenate that. It is a little bit of a feel-good-esque thing in Star Trek, but it's kind of nice. I mean, that's what Star Trek kind of did. It's feel good about society and the future that we are all going to potentially pass down to our kids.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do continue in this way, it's like our technology, our way of living is, we have the capability of being better. I've always loved that about Star Trek versus, say, the Star Wars community. Star Trek has always said, we in the future will be better.
Right.
Technically, I guess Star Wars is in the distant past.
Yeah. A long time ago.
Yeah, a long time
far
ago.
Away. Yeah.
Far away. So, whatever. That's why Star Trek is better.
That's right. Because we're better.
Well, we're better.
That's right. All right. We are better, and I think that's a great place to end it. This has been episode 199 of Talking Heads. Make sure to tune in next week for episode 200, where John, Rhett, Steve, and I will all be here. Not here, but on screen at the very least.
On your computer screen.
Right. coming to
Or
you
TV.
live through the interwebs, through the Webernets, as it were, drinking the same beers. I will be making sure of that for episode 200. I have no idea what we're going to talk about yet, but it's always a fun time when we get all four of us together.
Yeah, all four of us drinking beer is, well, that's an entertaining show in general.
Right.
Whether we're together or not, honestly, we still have a lot of the same chemistry stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's great. It's great to watch.
If you liked this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to Hops and Brews if you haven't done so already and you like the beer or liquor content on this channel. John does a lot of that and more over on his side of things. He also drinks crap like pickled beer and Pabst not whiskey and
not proud of it. I'm not proud of it. I just have to do it to get somewhat of the views. I am. I'm very
totally proud of it.
Totally am.
That's why you do it. If you want to pick up your own official Craft Computing merch like this fancy glass 16-ounce pint, now available on craftcomputing.store, and you will be supporting the channel at the same time. We've also got some sweet looking shirts over there. Bottle openers and hoodies and all kinds of good stuff. So
all kinds of good stuff.
Go check that out. John, any
No, I think I just want everyone to come in. Make sure to join next week. It's all going to be a great time. 200 episodes, nothing to scoff about.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's not. It's great. We've all enjoyed doing this through all the weirdness that we've had to gone through, and honestly, actually, I don't think our wives. I'm so happy our wives let us do this.
I know, right?
They're crazy.
I'll leave you guys with this. There's a great story I heard one time, or a great anecdote that I heard one time, and it was how do you start a YouTube channel? And the answer was a good idea and $20,000, because no one ever thinks of the cost involved, let alone the time involved of producing decent content on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Because yes, gear doesn't matter because anyone can grab a cell phone and, hey guys, today I'm gonna take apart this card and we're gonna talk about some stuff. Yeah. I don't know. It's a whole nother level to produce good watchable content, and it takes equipment and it takes investment and it takes hundreds of hours of time away from your family. And
love and patience.
Right, and the 1% get to do it as a career eventually, and cool. Like,
yep,
I'm thrilled I get to spend time at home every day now. Like that is absolutely living the dream. But yeah, so thank you all. Thank you for supporting the channel, John. Thanks for putting up with me.
Oh, it's trust me, it's you are giving me a break. So it's a reason to buy beer, Jeff. You've given me. I'm almost coming up on 4 years of reasons to buy beer.
That's right. That's right. Have I been doing this 4 years now? Actually, no, I just passed 4 years back in July.
Has it been?
Yeah. July 10th.
Well, how long have we been doing Talking Heads though? I'm not talking episode 1 because there was like a 6-month hiatus.
Not quite. It was I want to say November 1st, but I'll have to look up episode 2. In fact, let me do that right now. Let me do that.
We might have to do something special for that
for 4 year. Yeah. Let me look up episode 1 of Talking Heads.
Because if no one knows, I was at my bar. I had a bar back then.
Episode 1 was August 8th. Episode 2 was October 18th. So October 18th is our official launch date.
Okay, so because that was when we really kept going.
That was when we're doing this every week, right?
Yeah.
So there was only 6 weeks or 8 weeks in between, so it wasn't
2 months.
Horrible.
Yeah. So basically, enough time for me to close the bar.
Right. Close the bar and get to my house. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was Jeff. I'm John. I want to start a YouTube channel. All right, cool. You can do it upstairs. 6 weeks later, hey Jeff, I have to sell the bar.
Right.
I'm sorry, man.
I have to sell the bar, and the new owner's not going to honor our lease agreement.
Yeah. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
That or I go bankrupt. I don't know if your YouTube channel is going to make it.
Yeah.
So love you. But
well, now I could have carried you. So
I know it'd have been great.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not through now.
Yeah. Now is not a good time.
Yeah, now is not a good time to be a bar.
I'm surprised the ones around me have survived. Even.
I think it's loyal customers like us.
Yeah.
Because my place shut down.
Yep.
Because we wouldn't be drinking there.
Right. That's exactly right.
So, but yeah.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us on episode 199. As always, we will see you right here on Wednesday, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news, especially next week for episode 200. Be there. Thank you all. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Can't find the button. There it is.
All right.